Well, I was stirring bedding this morning and the plow came off on the right arm on this tractor, came up on the left tire and smoked this post. Snapped her. She's SOL. Oh, fun stuff to fix. It always happens on a Sunday morning too. That's the fun part. Oh well, we got her back together. Just frustrating. There's Nathan with some cheese on some, I think they must have just smoked those. So this is our creamery building here. So our milk house is on the other side of that big wall over there. And the milk comes in through that back room over there where we have an HTST, comes in here, comes into this vat. And this is where it's pasteurized and, well, not where it's pasteurized, but this is where they take off the whey, and once it's done its thing, and then they move it over here, and you can see Tony's messing with those loaves of cheese in there. So anyway, this is something obviously I don't show very much of because I am a farm person, and Nathan, my brother Nathan, and this is our employee Tony, he's been with us for several years now. This is what they do. So Nathan just brought that smoked cheese from back there. We have a little smokehouse back there, and that's where we do our different smoked cheeses. That's where they smoke that stuff. So, but this would be called the finishing table. That's where those loaves of cheese will go. Tony's gonna bring over this curd mill. They'll throw those loaves in that curd mill, and basically it's a giant potato wedge cutter thing, is what you could kind of call it. It cuts it into a whole bunch of cheese curds. And so, anyway, that cuts into those cheese curds, and then on the finishing table there, they got a bunch of paddles that toss the curds, and when they implement or when they add the salt to the curds, and then they take it from there and put it into either blocks of cheese. They got those stainless steel blocks up there. Puts it into blocks of cheese and put it in for an aged cheddar, or they bag the fresh cheese curds and we sell them as fresh cheese curds. So, yep, that's the deal. When they do the blocks of cheese, they bring it over here to that's the cheese press. You got the little plates there, those pneumatic cylinders, push down and press those curds back together to make blocks. So anyway, we've been doing this for, started making cheese in 2016, I guess. So been doing it for 9 years now. I think August of 2016 was our first batch. So it's Monday morning here. Nathan always makes cheese Monday mornings. So I just got here to the farm to just start doing some chores. I just ran in there to drop some stuff off in there. And so I thought, well, that's a good opportunity. I should probably show you guys some of that stuff sometime. So we're back here in the soybean field again. Today is November 3rd or 4th. It's Monday, so whatever that makes that. But we are back here in the soybean field and got the combine back this last Friday, and the weather is finally cooperating enough that we can get out here and cut some beans. So last week was a nasty, dreary week to where even if we would have had the combine, nobody in this area was cutting beans last week. It was just cold and wet all week, so it kind of worked out that way, I guess. I am way off here. Cutting beans back here on the back side of Grandpa's, and there's the barnyard up there. So one interesting thing about this farm is that back in the day, my great-grandpa owned the farm here, but then his brother, my great-uncle Walter, would have owned the 80 acres on the back side of here, and actually at the corner of that timber over there, it would have squared off from there over to here. And so these acres back here It was about an 80 that he owned back here, and right where I'm sitting, somewhere in this area, there was a house and a barn and whatever, and he had a barnyard back here. And so there's a ditch right over there where those trees are, and to get out of here, he had to drive across a ditch to get out of here, and he had kind of a low water crossing from what I understand, and it wasn't ideal. And for some other various reasons, they decided to move to town or closer to town. So when he wanted to do that, he wanted to go buy a piece of land there next to town. Well, he decided to go ahead and sell this farm, this 80, to my great-grandpa. So he did that, and when they did that, I guess the house didn't have a lot of value, and the barns were older. They actually had a crew come in, I guess, and take down the barn, and it got put back up about a mile or two down the road from here, and it's still standing. Kind of a neat little thing. But every once in a while, back in this area when we're farming back here, we find a brick, or in this case, like a chunk of old concrete from I'm guessing, you know, part of the foundation of the barn or house, I don't know. But anyway, there's been other times where I found bricks back here that'll just work their way out of the ground. Now the frost will pick them out. Whenever we used to do tillage, we would find more, but we don't seem to find as much anymore. But anyway, just kind of funny, all these years later, you still find pieces of things from the past. So kind of fun to, John just found this, and he got this out of the rock trap of the combine, I guess, and so that's not fun to find it that way, but it's, at the same time, it's kind of neat to still see, well, there's still that history here. So I'm sitting here in the grain cart tractor waiting on John to make his way around here. I got to thinking maybe I should explain to some of you guys who don't know much about the history of our operation, kind of the way things work for us. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. Our ancestors came from Germany, came over to the United States in the mid-1800s and settled here in this township, and we've been here ever since. So and come from a long line of farmers. My great-grandpa was actually a horse trader, and my great-grandpa was just a farmer. And my grandpa, he actually milked cows starting out when he first started. He was a carpenter and also had 18 milk cows. But he quit doing that when my dad was probably about 10 years old, I think. I think he milked cows for about 10 years or so. And so after that, we were no longer in the dairy industry. Grandpa grew row crops and raised hogs. Got a little bigger into that in the 80s. We had a finishing building over there at Grandpa's. It's still sitting there, but now it's sitting empty. But we raised hogs through the 80s and into the 90s, and then around 2005 or 2006 we got out of hogs altogether. But we didn't get back in the dairy industry until 1995, when we would have gotten back into the dairy. Dad decided to go out on his own. Him and Grandpa were kind of working together on the hogs. Grandpa had his row crop stuff. My dad had his little bit of row crop stuff. But to diversify and add a little more income, Dad decided to start a dairy farm, so which was kind of unheard of back in the day. So, and then from there, John and Nathan formed an LLC with my dad around, I believe, 2007. There's John. From there, they formed that LLC. John had just gotten out of college around that time. Nathan was about to finish college shortly after that. And then I came back to the operation in 2012 after I got out of college and joined the operation and started buying in then myself, and went from there. So whenever I was coming back to the operation in 2012, we kind of knew with a fourth person coming back to the farm that we were milking at the time 160 cows, that we needed to diversify and either milk more cows or do something different. So we decided to do a value-added approach, and so we started doing the planning about 2012 or so, my senior year of college, and finally broke ground in 2015 on our Creamery building, and in 2016, August of 2016, we made our first batch of cheese. We've been doing that ever since. So that's what's kind of helped us diversify a little bit. From there, we have been doing that along with the row crop, milking cows, and then we also here about 3 years ago, when my grandpa was in his mid-80s, he decided he was going to get out of the beef business, and that's whenever we started renting a couple more of his pastures and added a small beef herd. So now we have that going on. So the way it works is John is in charge of our row crop operation and raising our replacement heifers for the dairy herd, and then I'm in charge of the milking herd and in charge of the beef herd. So that's how we kind of split up the responsibilities on the farm side. And then when it comes to the Creamery side, our brother Nathan, he makes the cheese and does all that, and then my dad does the sales. And then they kind of, we all help each other out here and there where we can. But so we have those. That's how we split up things between the four of us. And then we have some part-time packaging help in the Creamery, and then one full-time guy that helps Nathan make cheese. Anyway, that's a little bit about us. That's kind of how we got it split up. I know I probably haven't explained that very much, but that's kind of the way it works for us around here. So we're over here on this farm across from Grandpa's. There's Grandpa's place up there. See the beef cows. There's our grain bins right there. Got the last load of beans in, and I'm back here at the farm. I'm gonna go fetch a cow real quick. But anyway, that's the story on us, guys. If you are curious and purchase any of our products, we do ship online, or you can order online and we can ship it to you. We have 10 different types of cheese curds that you can purchase, several different types of cheddars, from smoked cheddar to different spices that we add to them, or an aged sharp cheddar. You can look at all that stuff and do that if you want. Anyway, all the cows are standing out here in the alley for some reason. Sometimes they do this. They all kind of walk as a big group and hang out in the alley for a while. But I don't know where my fresh cow is, but I'm gonna go and try to find her and get her in, and then maybe stir bedding. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.